artists, we are going to practice our coloring and our craftsmanship when we color. I've got a couple different materials here. I've got some crayons and I've got some color pencils and I've got some markers. We're going to use the same idea when we use each of these materials to color. So I'm going to start off with a purple crayon. Now the tip of my crayon is not perfect and that is okay. Now I'm going to start off with my little monsters, and when you color with good craftsmanship, you want to think about really coloring with tiny little back and forth strokes. I'm going to zoom this in just a tiny bit so you can kind of see this. So notice I'm just doing tiny little back and forth strokes, and I'm keeping all of my marks kind of close together. You don't see me going all over the paper. I'm really slowing down and I'm keeping the color really close together. So in this foot, I'm not leaving any white spaces. I'm just going really slow and I'm really taking my time. Now one thing that I think helps is you can turn your paper, if that helps you, just kind of go around corners and curves. See how I just turned my monster paper this way, just so I can kind of get this top little toe in there. Now you can see how I've taken the time and the care to really fill that in once again. Can you tell a difference between this and say this? So this is where you might just kind of rush through, and when I do that, you almost can't even see my pencil lines and those cool feet that I drew. So you want to respect the drawing that you've already done and the beautiful artwork you've already done by using your best effort and trying your best and taking the time to make your coloring the best it can be. Now I'm going to speed up this video, but I want you to see how slow I'm actually coloring. I'm going slow, taking my time, really filling in all of those little spaces. Once again, can I turn the paper if that helps? Absolutely. Now I'm going to take a color pencil. This is the same concept. It's actually a little bit easier to be a little bit neater with the color pencil, because usually the tips on a color pencil you can be a little bit more exact with. So once again, you can see I'm just doing these little baby tiny back and forth strokes. You know, I'm not going really big. I'm just making them teeny tiny little baby strokes back and forth. And I can make my strokes go different directions. So right here, right underneath the little bottom of the monster right here, I'm making my lines go kind of side to side. That's going to help me keep my coloring nice and neat. Once again, we call this craftsmanship. It's time that we really start to practice our craftsmanship and try to do our neatest coloring and try to use that self-control really nicely. So when you get a closer look, you can see how nice and neat that is, because I've really taken my time and gone slow. Oops, I got a little bit below that line. Is that okay? Absolutely. The cool thing is when you go slow and take your time with colored pencil or with crayon, sometimes you can make it look almost like paint, which is really cool. Now I'm really happy with how that colored pencil looks. I'm going to switch over to my marker now. Now sometimes it can be fun to outline with a marker, especially if you have a little bit darker color like this gray right here. You don't have to, it's just an idea. Once again, I'm just doing tiny little back and forth strokes with my marker. Now with marker, you can really tell the direction that you're coloring in. So you might want to keep all of your coloring kind of going in one direction up and down, but you can also change it up if you want to. The big thing is you want to really take your time and go slow. So right here going above the eye, I might change up the direction of that marker, and that's absolutely fine. Uh-oh, look, I kind of lost that line from my mouth. Now you might like that and say that's pretty awesome and leave yours like that, but it's good to see how darker colors, especially with markers and especially with crayons too, once you start to color in your pencil lines, sometimes you can lose those pencil lines. What if I took a black color pencil and I just try to go back over that? Now you can see how I kind of got that line back now. I could even take my colored pencil and go around my whole monster. I actually don't even have a good point on this colored pencil, and that still works pretty well. I think outline or going over your pencil lines with different coloring materials can add a really nice touch. Now to fill in this space with the yellow colored pencil, I'm going all up and down right here, still with the little tiny back and forth strokes, and then I'm going to go side to side. So I'm almost kind of making a crisscross little pattern when I color, so up and down one way and then side to side another way. And as long as you're nice and neat and try your best and intentional with it, that can be a nice little coloring method too. Now you can take those ideas and kind of start to fill in anywhere you want to on your monsters. You don't have to necessarily color in all of them, but you could apply it and do little pops of color all different places. You can even just take your plain pencil, and it ends up being kind of like a shiny gray color, and fill in some areas on your monsters as well. The nice thing is when you practice craftsmanship with coloring, even if you're just filling in with pencil, it's also going to help you out in things like your handwriting as well. Just slowing down, doing your best, using self-control, and making your work as neat as possible. Now there's always times where, we make a mess in art and we do things a little bit looser, but you want to have the ability to make things neat when you need to. And again, we call that, what's that word? Craftsmanship, neat and intentional with all of our materials. I'm even going to take my pencil right here and I'm going to make a cool little pattern of repeated stripes. Now, if you don't have your monsters or you're finished with your monsters, if you just want to go to a different piece of paper, you might have a different coloring sheet where you can apply the same coloring concepts to that. So see, I'm just going to be nice and neat as I start this off. Artists, you want to really show off your craftsmanship skills for your teachers and your families. They are going to be so impressed with your nice, neat craftsmanship and coloring. Thanks for watching and listening, artists.